All right. Good morning. Welcome. How's everybody doing? Welcome, welcome. Welcome in. Good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning. Emmanuel, welcome in. Casey, Anthony, Kwame, Carolina, welcome in, guys. How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing? I feel like the lighting is a little off today. It's a very dark day today in New York. It's gray, very gray today. There we go. More lighting. Welcome, guys. Welcome in. How's everybody doing? Good morning from Minnesota. My lighting is crazy. Now I have too much lighting. I feel like now we're like in a spotlight over here. I don't need all this professional stuff. Yeah, there you go. That's better. Much better. Welcome, guys. Got that massage lighting. Someone told me it looked like I have a therapist office in here. So I had to change things around a little bit in this office after somebody told me that. I forget who told me that, but they're like, yeah, Brett, you have like a therapist office back there. So I had to change stuff around. Exciting day. It's been an exciting week. Monday, Tuesday, really good. Wednesday, price action, a little bit slow price action yesterday, but conditionally, market's nice. You're seeing a lot of strength on select few equities. And this is something we're going to discuss today. There's been a lot of market movement on Tesla. There's been a lot of market movement on semiconductor space names, say your AMD, your AVGO, your Nvidia, your MU. Anything SMH wise is particularly nice to trade. Then outside those sectors, outside Tesla and your SMH, there's been very little good price action. So actually, well, for yesterday, right? For Monday, Tuesday, different. There was value in other names, but you have some discrepancy in the market, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. Like you look at your Apple, you look at Microsoft, Google, Amazon. You look at some of these names, and you just wonder, like, where's the trade? And there is no trade, right? You get a little bit of continuation. I took a little bit of a scalper on Apple yesterday. But you look at the chart and it's like, damn, like this is not a chart that really incites any particular, like it doesn't really get me going, right? This doesn't get me going. What does get me going is a name like Nvidia. Like, this gets me going. Oh wow, right? Like look at this chart. And you're the reason why I'm talking about this before we start the stream is because the question is, when do we begin to get better price action on some of these other names outside of the select few Nvidia, Tesla, MU, AVGO, right? When do we get better PA on some of these other names? And I think like Meta today has like a nice looking chart, and we'll talk about Meta today. Meta could be actually a decent trade today. We'll go over Meta's chart. But this is a theme I want you guys to understand, right? Is that you are seeing really good price action, but it's not broad-based really good price action. It's actually mostly just centered on semis, right? Because you look at Amazon, you look at Amazon's chart, and it's like, damn, like where's the trade, right? There really has been no trade, right? There has been no movement, no market movement, while the S&P is breaking channel highs and Qs are pushing new all-time highs. Look at Amazon, right? Amazon's doing absolutely nothing, right? And even look at Apple. I traded Apple yesterday, so I could talk shit about it, right? Apple didn't do anything, right? Apple literally didn't do much yet, right? So this is something that we are going to talk about. We're going to go over this today, and we're going to go over everything that we usually go through, but we're going to talk a little bit about what must happen for these other names to begin moving. Okay, so that's the overall theme here, guys. Nothing crazy, routine stuff today. Economic data has come out about 7 minutes ago. Looks like we're starting the stream later than usual. I don't know why we're starting it later, but we are starting it later. 8:37. How did I get to 8:37 already? I feel like we're already there. Anyway, today we have a few sets of data to watch out for. We have Obviously, most of it's already happened about 7 minutes ago. We had GDP, or gross domestic product. We we had jobless claims, international trade in goods, and then we also had durable good orders, right? So that's what we had in the early morning session about 7 minutes ago. The data is as follows. Jobless claims came out 236 versus the estimate of 244, meaning jobless claims came out better than expectations, lower than expectations. In terms of our gross domestic product, GDP, quarter over quarter came out much worse than expectations. The expectations were 0.2% negative. The actual came out at minus 0.5%. So you're seeing that this is worse, right? So negative 0.5 is the actual, the estimate was 0.2. So definitely worse there on the GDP, but jobless claims a little better. In terms of other data for today's session, we do have some 1030 data, EIA natural gas report, and then that's pretty much all we have for today's session in terms of economic data. Tomorrow we had PCE. PCE, I would expect a market reaction to that. So again, PCE market data, be careful of that going into our session ahead of us. PCE is going to move the market tomorrow morning. Earnings reports, you guys must understand we had Micron NU in the after hours yesterday's session, and it seems to be good, right? It seems to be that chips are eating that up, and Micron is doing well, right? It sold off a little bit, but it is still green. So Micron earnings, that's all we had yesterday. Jeffries a little bit. Then Thursday we have NKE, Nike. That's all we have on the earnings docket and economic data. And this is going to set us up for our first chart of the day, which you guys obviously know. We are going to dive into this. We're talking about SPY's chart. We'll go over SPY. We'll go over ES, NQ, QQQ. We'll go over the whole routine, and we'll have a really nice morning session. Reading the chat right now. Where is everybody? We have 800 people in here this morning. It's 8:39. You guys are late. Some people are late to the stream this morning, and we only have 200 likes. That's probably why. Guys, get the like count up. It's helpful. It really does help. I'm gonna go through the charts while you guys are working on that. Okay. On the SPY chart, what happened yesterday? Okay. What happened yesterday was we got our first consolidation day. And this is normal, this is expected, and we have to understand this was going to happen, okay? We had really good price action from our upside day on Monday. Monday, we had a beautiful, beautiful upside trending day, okay? And then Tuesday's price action, we saw a classic gap and go, right? A gap, a slight pullback to demand, and a go, right? Beautiful gap and flat. The idea though yesterday was the market was still bullish, right? No matter which way you looked at the market yesterday, it was still bullish. If you saw some downside come in, you scalped some downside in the market yesterday, congratulations, right? You sure you did well, right? But the market still systematically is bullish. And what makes this market bullish? What makes this market bullish is the fact that it continues to push in higher lows, right? And if you look at the market, the most recent higher low was 604, and then after that, it became 605.50. Today's session, the higher low that we must maintain for the market is 605 level, 605.50 to 605. As long as we are holding the previous day low on SPY's chart, we are systematically bullish. There's no way to really look at it, right? And I'm not saying you can't scalp puts. You can totally scalp puts in this market, right? But you're only scalping puts back into demand. For example, yesterday's session, we pushed into 60850. We failed 60850, moved down lower. But did we do anything that makes us flip from bull to bear? No, right? Because we still maintained above that previous low, that previous day low, we still maintained above it, right? So today's session, if you're watching the market today, you're looking for this, right? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to mark your previous session high. So previous session high is 60850. That's your key critical level this morning. If we fail below 60850, right? If you fail 60850, you probably do move lower into 605.50, right? But again, that's scalpable for puts, but not going to cause the market to massively sell off, right? A massive sell-off would occur if this happened. If we lose 605 and we see a failure like this happen, if this happens, this is your systematic switch in the market from a bull to a bear bias, in which case we move back into 601 and 599 and possibly even back into lows here, 593, which is the start of our uptrend. So again, this would be your real bear case move. But as of right now, the market is holding strong and is holding critical demand. So what should we be doing if that is the case? We should be looking for longs at the previous session high. If 60850 is holding, we look for longs there. or we wait for longs back at demand here, 605.50. So that's what I'm doing today, right? Look for longs here and look for longs there on SPY's chart. That's where I'm thinking market continues to, if we look for, this is a really good example, right? If we are holding previous session high, there really is no reason for me to want to go short. And that's just like very basic stock 101, right? If we're holding previous session high, there really is no reason to be aggressively short. Now, I'm not saying you can't short resistances. You can still short 611 on SPY. You can still short 613 on SPY, but you're not going to catch a massive failure, right? You're not going to do it, right? You're just going to scalp a little bit of a put move back into demand, and that's probably it, right? For shorts to really win, you want to see us break under 605. That's where shorts are in the lead, and we can look for downside continuation moves all the way lower. For now, though, 60850 holds, or 60850 holds, 605 holds, and even at this point now, you have to start looking at the overhead supplies. There is some adjustments I made to my supplies above us on SPY's chart. If you zoom out on the daily time frame here on SPY's chart, and you zoom all the way out to what was happening previously back in 2024, late 2024, early 2025. The level that we must understand, first of all, is 60850 is your critical level of 608 to 650 is your critical level on the daily. Above this level, you have a next big level of 611. 611, really 610.8 is your actual level, 610.8, but 611 to 610.8 is your critical level, and your all-time highs is your 613. So if we're talking about overhead supplies, the overhead supplies that we have, the big levels of resistance that we have in front of us are as follows: 611, 613. That's it, right? Like I said before, and I'll say this again and again and again, I think that we have a strong magnet towards our 613 level. The scenario right now is we are still, remember this, what we said before, we are in the bull case scenario right now, which means we probably push to 613 and even break 613. So even if you see some short-term reactions off these levels, let's just say 611 failures, 613 failures, it's still probable that we move higher to all-time highs. I'm not saying you can't short. You can short the market wherever you want, right? But I do think that we have a magnet towards that all-time highs, and we probably break it, right? We probably break it, and that's the idea here. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there is very little resistance to all-time highs. We're so close there, and the market likes to move to these critical levels, right? These high-volume nodes, the market loves to move to. So that's why I think there's a strong case for us moving to 613. I'm not saying it's going to happen today, but I am saying it's probably going to happen in the next 2 weeks. It should happen in the next 2 weeks. So expect 613 to happen here in SPY. But again, even if that's a case, right, you don't want to be long into 611. You don't want to be long in the idea, right? Even though we know the market's moving to 613, right, it doesn't mean we can just buy calls and go to sleep. You have to find levels you can take trades on. And the levels we can take trades on are the demand below, right? 60850 and 605, okay? Moving on the ES chart, the levels are pretty damn clear, right? You can see we have 6140 ES level. That was our level of demand yesterday. And you saw some holds come in there, right? Market moved back to demand there at around 1030. We ripped higher off demand. We started to close below it, but you can see we defended it all day, right? 6140 is your critical level of demand below. The level we're going to add this morning here on the ES chart is 6160. And the reason why we're adding 6160 is because it's our 6160 is because it's our previous session high. Today's session, we are looking for this very simply, right? Either one, we look for longs off the previous session high, which is our 6160. If you're holding 6160, we're bullish and looking for longs back at 6200. If we fail below 6160 and do this, we move back into demand here, 6140. But again, we know this is still demand below, and we probably reverse off of it. Okay, so again, looking for longs off 6140, looking for longs off 6160. That's really it for the bull case scenarios. Okay, what makes us bearish on this chart is the same thing as SPY. If you analyze this market here on the ES chart and you look at the previous structure lows, we have a low built here at 6,000, a low built here at 6,100, and the most recent low here at 6,130. Systematically, we are bullish as long as we are above 6131, right? So if we are above 6131 on the ES chart, we're still bullish. So that's basically just looking at Wednesday's lows. So on the SPY chart, ES chart, if we're above this level, we are still holding bullish momentum, and we can look for longs. So look for longs off the 6140, look for longs off the 6160. Be careful of the overhead supply though at that 6200 ES level. Okay, so am I lagging? Yes, I noticed there's a lag too. There's a lag on my mouse for some reason, so it's not just you. Do you guys notice that? I'm surprised you guys can actually see that too. I for some reason that really bothers me. I hate when there's a lag on my mouse. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. A little weird. I'll get it fixed. It's probably just it's probably just because I have a lot of programs running right now. Anyway, so on the QQQ chart, on the Q's chart, very nice day yesterday, right? You saw yesterday 541 was our level. We broke out. We pulled back to our previous session high here, 541. That was your long entry yesterday. You got a few different scalps off 541. We actually failed below 541, and it gave us a little bit of a bear trap, right? You saw a little bit of a bear trap under 541 yesterday, which I think was really critical, right? 541 bear trap, but we were back above 541 now. The level this morning to watch on Qs is simply just 541. If we are above 541, we are bullish. If we are below 541, we are bearish, right? Where do we move to? If we fail below 541, we move back into 537.50. So again, pretty simple levels here. Pretty simple levels here on the Qs. I would argue though, right now your top watch should be looking for longs at 541. If we fail below 541, then no longer longs, right? Just let it fail back lower. You probably go back into 520, 536 as your next big level here, your next big demand here on the QQQ chart. Okay. NQ, very briefly, NQ action. If it loads for us because we are lagging right now, which we don't know why we're lagging, but we are lagging. I'll read the chat for a second while this is happening. Yes, Mina, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Fancy, welcome in, Fancy. Thank you for joining the YouTube live. I have to do something with that. I'm going to figure something out with that. Anyway, so on NQ, 21,500 was your level at NQ yesterday's session. A little bit different from, the thing is, like, I like when ES and SPY line up, and I like when NQ and QQQ line up. This is a little bit different because you have a huge level here at this NQ 22,500, right? But we don't really have the same level here in the Qs. Looking at QQQ for a second, right? You have the level here at 541. Could you argue 541 is your same thing? So look, Tuesday's highs is around 541, right? A little bit lower than 541, but just about 541, right? That's your Tuesday high level. That's your critical zone from Tuesday's session, and that's why it's a big level here in Qs. On the NQ chart, where's your Tuesday highs? Your Tuesday's highs are over here at 22,441. So for me, this is a little bit of a zone that I'm going to add here. Is I'm going to make this a bit of a wide zone. The reason why is because the QQQ chart clearly is a little bit different, and we have to adjust for that, right? So for me this morning on the NQ chart, I would argue this whole zone between the Tuesday's highs, right, and that level from yesterday's session, 22,500, is your level of demand today, right? So if we're above this zone, we're bullish. Again, we have to adjust for that level. I don't like when zones are this large, but because QQQ is displaying something different, we must adjust for that. So again, Tuesday's highs here, 22,443, right? And then you have the 22,500 level, which obviously we know is important from previous. So we know that this is our demand below. If we're above this level, we're bullish. If we're below this level, below this Tuesday level right here, this is the most important level, is this line right there, right? 22,443 is your most important level here in NQ, right? Even though we have 22.5 as your little psychological level, right? The level that we must watch out for is 22,443, right? Simply just that Tuesday highs. If you fail below Tuesday's highs, that's a real downside that comes in the market back to 23,000 or 22,300 and back even to 22,139. So again, very key levels here on the NQ chart. Good read, just a little bit different than Qs, and I think you must watch both today if you're trading tech side. Okay. So that being said, let's move on. I am going to now dive into our charts today. Let's start off with the first chart of the day. I think everyone probably knows what I'm going to start off with. It's Nvidia, right? Nvidia yesterday, just systematic. Now, I caught Nvidia on Tuesday. I didn't catch this on Wednesday. And I probably should have, to be honest, right? I probably should have given this a little bit of a nibble on Wednesday's session. I just didn't. The reason why was because, transparently, I had some contracts from Tuesday's session, and I held it into Wednesday. And I only had a few, so it's not like I had a large size, but I just couldn't dig it myself to get back into Nvidia again. But that was the wrong idea because Nvidia was the strongest name yesterday, right? Nvidia above 150 was the most incredible breakout. When we were in live trading, we also talked about the idea of 150 pullback long, and that again presented another long opportunity. So there were longs on Nvidia, not even just off the open, but also into the afternoon session. So I was a little bit like yesterday. I was like reviewing my trades. I was like, damn, like why didn't I take Nvidia, right? Because it was so good on Tuesday. Wednesday session just incredible. Again, really do this, right? The level that we must watch today session, I think, comes back into that previous session high, right? So right before we broke out yesterday, we produced a session high here at 153. I think that's the level I'm watching today. This is the level I'm watching today, right? We're going to watch 153 today. If we can pull back to 153 today, I'm looking for longs there. My secondary bounce level, as you guys probably know, is simply just 150. So for me, my two different bounce levels are bounce level number 1, 153, and bounce level number 2, 150, right? Those are my two levels here on the on this chart. If you run a retracement from the breakout level, from the session breakout from 146. Remember we longed Nvidia 146 breakout Tuesday? That breakout, that low, right? That's the start of the breakout to where we're trading at right now. You run a Fibonacci retracement. You're going to find that the two bounce levels that you were watching today are both a 38.2% retracement and a 61.8% retracement of the breakout move. This to me is awesome, right? I want to see this. This to me confirms the levels I'm watching are valid, right? You first have your 153 level as your big 38.2% retracement and your big hourly support. Also your intraday resistance yesterday's session, and then you also have the colossal level, right? The colossal level, and this would be a gift for us today, would be 150 pullback long. Right, so watching both today, I know 150 may not happen, but I think this is very valid today's session. 150 pullback long and 153 pullback long, both valid in today's session. Okay, so moving on now. I am moving on now. People are saying I'm lagging. Yeah, I see it too. I hate that. It bothers me. I'll get it fixed. We had some is a overcooked turkey, right? The turkey's been in the oven. You had it set to 450, right? You left it in there for 2 hours. The turkey's overcooked, right? Look, you could still eat the turkey, right? You can still eat the turkey, but the turkey is overcooked. We must wait for this to pull back, right? At this point, you gotta wait for pullbacks. Very similar to Nvidia, and to be honest with you, this is why I like just sitting in shares in these stocks right now. Long AMD, long Nvidia and shares. At least if I don't catch the intraday scalp, right, I'm making money on the intraday shares, or making money on the shares long term, not intraday, but long term, right? And I think many of you guys, if you guys are here, I'm gonna probably argue that, or I'm gonna probably bet that 80% of you are shareholders on either AMD or Nvidia, and I think that's the right idea. Going forward, though, what do we do on AMD? And this is not to scare you on long-term positions, because we are not scared about long-term positions. Long-term positions are long-term. You know what the plan is on AMD long-term. In the short term, however, we are overcooked, and we must look for a pullback. The pullback longs are as follows. On the 15-minute time frame here on AMD, the very clear level that you want to see this pull back to at some point in time is 133. Is it going to happen? Probably not for a while, right? It probably will go to 150 first and then get back to 133. There are other pullback longs we could watch, 138 and 144. So we have 3 pullback long opportunities. And you guys know this. When you have multiple areas for pullback longs, and I'm sure most of you guys have been trading for a long time, so you know this. But there are also people who are new. And if you're listening to me say, look for a stock like this, and we're talking about 3 different bounce areas, how do you know which one's valid? Well, they're all valid, right? All of these bounce levels are valid today, right? 144 is a bounce level, 138 is a bounce level, and 130 is a bounce level. Sorry, 133 is a bounce level, right? And the reason why 144 is a bounce level is because it's simply just a previous session high, right? This is very aggressive, but if you want to be aggressive in AMD today, watch the level, right? 144, big technical level of demand. look for longs at 144, look for longs at 138, and look for longs at 133. If you fail below 144, we probably go back to 138. I don't really expect much upside to be there. If you fail below 138, we go to 133. If you lose 133, this is where I don't really have bull bias anymore on AMD, right? If 133 is lost, I no longer like AMD for longs, and we probably fail lower to 130 and possibly even 125. So the what makes AMD bullish is the fact that it's above 133, right? So for now, I want to look for longs at these other levels. I would look for longs at 144. I look for longs at 138. I would even look for longs at 133. Again, though, it's far-fetched. I think the most probable levels today are 138 and 144. If you are shorting AMD, the best possible short is going to be under 144. If this happens, there is a scalpable short and a move lower back to 138. That could be a solid trade today, watching that 138 to hold. Okay, so moving on. SMH very overheated, right? Again, kind of similar to what's going on AMD. This chart at some point in time needs to pull back. My pullback level is at 265, 1 hour time frame. I have a level here at 270 though. You can see really 269.8, right? That's your level here in SMH now. So you have these previous session highs here at 265. That's of course a very big demand zone. But we do also have a 269.5 level as demand as well. Critical demand, 270, 269.5. Watching that for a pullback long on SMH too, right? And this is the idea is like, you want to see semis pull back, right? This is how semis work. Semis go in these crazy upside moves, but eventually they do pull back. Big upside, pullback comes in. That's where these longs are set up back at these key demands, right? Big upside, pull back, right? Always it does it, right? Even though it may not look like it's going to pull back, you may look at semis and say, wow, semis are never going to pull back. Semis are completely gone. Semis are ripping. Sure, yeah, they are ripping, but they will pull back eventually, right? So stay patient, wait for your demands below. And the worst thing that can happen, this is the worst thing that's going to happen, is you're going to say, wow, I really wish I was long semis right now. I wish I was long semis. I wish I was in this already, right? I want 270 demand bounce. And the next thing you know, it pulls back to 270. You sit there, you look at your screen, you say, well, you know what? I'm not taking the 270 demand bounce. And then it does this, and you're like, oh my God, I missed a trade, right? So don't do that, right? What you need to do is understand the level that you want to go long at today. And we know it. It's right in front of us. It's 270, right? If we see semis pull back to 270 this week, that's your most high conviction long entry on semis. Watching 270 for pullback longs, okay? Moving on. MU reported earnings. Micron reported earnings. We're going to talk a little bit about this post earnings. You saw a little bit of a pop and fader. Pop during earnings and fade right back to where we are prior to earnings reports. Where does this probably go to now? I don't know. I have no conviction here. But what I would say is we have a level here at 124.50. That's your next big level. Under 124.50 with 120. So your levels are 124.50 support and then 120 support and your overhead supply here at 137. As you guys know, right? You guys should understand this. This is the previous all-time highs now, right? This is the previous all-time highs now. 137 has become the previous all-time highs now. Oh, it's not. Oh my God, we're completely wrong here. We are completely wrong here. The previous all-time highs is here at 157. I was reviewing this chart this morning and we did not see that. Okay, interesting. So 157 is the previous all-time highs. 157 is the previous all-time highs. But as of right now, right, is it? Well, let's just triple check that. Let's really triple check that. Yeah, it is. Okay, good. And then obviously big level over here back at 98. Zooming back down to smaller time frames here. Where did this reject off of? 137 rejected off of. So, I mean, at this point, right, this is a flat chart. I don't really see a potential trade here today. There is no trade here today, but I just wanted to go over this chart after earnings. Again, big demand below, big supply above. Not all-time highs, but big supply above, okay? Moving on. Do I know my mic isn't working properly? Is my mic working properly, guys? Can you guys let me know? Is it messing up? Let me know. I'm going to move on while we're looking at that. Tesla. On the Tesla chart, Tesla is bearish, right? Tesla is absolutely bearish. Was it going in and out or something? I wonder why they were saying that. Maybe it's just user error on their part. Anyway, Tesla. On the Tesla chart, Tesla is weak, right? Tesla's really weak. Tesla under 336 is bearish. There's nothing bullish about this chart anymore. Yesterday, what did we say about Tesla? We said we were bullish on Tesla as long as we were above 336. That was the idea, right? And this is This is what happened yesterday. We were bullish yesterday, and today, as soon as we failed under 336 yesterday's session, that was your best possible short under 336. Downside came in, and that was what caused this to move lower. There is something very bad going on right now in Tesla. Something is wrong here, right? You just saw one of the best breakouts in Tesla in a long time after a beautiful bull flag consolidation. We failed the bull flag under 336, and now at this point we look really weak. Where do we go to now at this point? If we are under 336, it's likely that we fail lower back into 320 and back into 310. So at this point right now on Tesla, I would be looking for a pop and fades and a move lower. That's it. I'll be focusing on that today, right? Yeah, guys, if you're lagging, just close the stream and reopen it, right? I don't think it's on my end right now. I think it's mostly just on YouTube's end. But as of right now, here in Tesla, look for pop and fades. 332 pop and fade, 336 pop and fade. Any pop on this chart would be basically a shortable pop, right? Because again, if we look at a stock that's strong and we say on SPY, right, for example, SPY is strong, so any pullback to demand on SPY is a long entry. Well, an exact opposite, right, with that same mindset, but the exact opposite, any pop on Tesla is a shortable pop, right? So if I see Tesla pop in 336 today, look for shorts there. Very simply, 332, 336 supply puts at 332 today for shorts. That's what I'd be looking for on this Tesla chart, looking for pop and fades on Tesla. The only reason why I would go long on Tesla is if this happened. If this happens, then we are back bullish again and we're going back higher. But as of right now, it does not seem to be happening. Okay, moving on, guys. PLTR. PLTR chart still maintaining strong. 140 is your level. You want to see that fail. If you lose 140, that's a real downside comes in. Your demand below 140. If you lose 140, I think we go back to 125. I think we go back to the next high volume node on PLTR is 125. That's where we're probably headed to under that 140 level. 140 big technical level. Okay. As of right now, though, chart is still strong. This is just maintaining key levels. AVGO chart. AVGO chart 265 is your pivot this morning. Above it bullish, below it bearish. Meta. This is something I want to talk about today. Meta actually is a nice chart to watch this morning. Why is Meta a nice chart to watch this morning? Because Meta was one of the select few beta names yesterday that actually had decent price action, right? It actually had decent price action, maintained demand pretty well, and has been a relatively strong stock. Similar to Nvidia, similar to your AMD, right? Today's session on this chart, I would look for longs above 717. If we can clear previous session high, 717, look for longs on a break and retest upside move. Look for that today, 717 break and retest, long entry there. Okay, I'm reading the chat right now. I'm going to go over as many tickers as I possibly can. IWM downside yesterday. Downside has been very much so the case here. The reason why I think this is having a hard time is because of our daily 200 SMA, right? Daily 200 SMA here on our IWM chart is at 215, and that's where we're stagnating, right? You're seeing some stagnation coming here off this daily 200 SMH, or sorry, daily 200 SMA, right? So be careful of that 215 supply. The only reason why we can go long on IWM is if we clear above 215. Above 215 bullish. But as of right now, it's in resistance, so be careful of that. Big supply. Apple, yes, I forgot to do Apple. On the Apple chart, Apple, I traded Apple yesterday. Look, I did, right? But it's not really a chart that I want to be involved in right now. Yesterday's price action proved that to me. I kind of got lucky coming out unscathed in this one. The reason why was because I almost longed it here at 945. I ended up longing it here at 1026 and got a little bit of upside in the market. But this chart was by all means not one to trade, right? It was stayed in range all session. It didn't break session high, didn't break session low. The first opening bell print, it just stayed below it, right? So today's session here on Apple, the levels I would remove everything here, right? Everything here must be removed because this is no longer important to me anymore. It's just chopping around it. The level I want to see Apple clear for real sustained upside is going to be 204. If Apple can clear 204, that's where it proves to me it can go. But as of right now, 204 big supply and 200 big demand. Demand below, supply above. Channel. It's in a channel. You want to trade in a channel, you can do it, but I would be careful because this could be very dangerous in that channel. Okay. Google chart. On the Google chart, charting this live because I did not prep this one for you guys, but 172 big demand here. You can see daily 200 SMA. If it reclaims 172 with a conviction, which it is right now, look for longs back to 176, right? Look for 172 to hold here. If 172 can hold, previous session high, and that Friday's high, Friday 13 low, Friday 13 low, daily 200 SMA, and previous session high. If 172 is above, bullish. If 172 is below, bearish. Very simply, right? If you're above 172, this moves higher to 176. If we're below 172, this moves lower back into 168. Okay, that's where I'd be targeting downside back into. Okay, pretty simple chart here on Google. Is there a trade for me that I'm watching off the gate here? No, not really. But just look to see what happens here, right? Look to see what happens here 172. That's your clear as day level. Above it, bullish, below, bearish. All right, Hood. You guys asked for a Hood yesterday, and then I completely didn't go over it. So I'll go over it today, and this will be our last ticker of the day, last ticker of the stream. So on the Robinhood chart, 85 is your big technical supply. We spoke about this 67 level a long time ago, and we have not pulled back there yet. We've just grinded higher. I would argue here, and this 85 level is not a level to take lightly. The reason why I say that is because 85 is our pre-IPO highs, or is our IPO highs. Right after IPO, this is the high we produced that week. So going forward here on Hood is understand 85 is the most major technical supply that we have. I would not be long here in Robinhood. I would begin scaling out of long-term positions, maybe taking some profit if you are comfortable with it, right? And look for lower, right? Look for demand to step in back at 70. Look for demand to step in back at your retest level, your major retest level back at 67. But for now, I think scaling out of Hood at 85 is not a bad move, right? If you want to look for upside trades, look for a break and retest above 85. Upside retest over here or pull back longs here at 67. And I know it's very far away, but that's what I would do here in Robinhood, okay? Guys, that's it. We're going to end it here. Thank you all for joining in. I will see you guys all for live trading. Have a beautiful and safe and nice cash flow trade session today. I will see you guys all soon. Bye, guys.